Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach wa Malak Yahweh for giving me the spirit and power to do this lesson. All right, what we're going to deal with today, we're going to deal with the Northern Kingdom information. You see the title of the lesson is dealing with the Chumash people. So when we deal with the Chumash people, understand the Chumash people, they're the first ones of California to encounter Europeans in 1542. Right? And they're called the Chumash people, which are Native American Indians. Now, I'm harping on Native American Indians is because they're emphatically the children of Israel, the 12 tribes, a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, let's get into it. All right, it says the Chumash people, right? So the word Chumash is the biggest point of this topic. The Chumash are a Native American people of the central and southern coastal regions of California, right? And it gives you a map on where they all dwell and all this dark. It says in portions of what is now Kern, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Los Angeles. So Native Americans inhabited Los Angeles way before the white man did, right? Way before the Southern Kingdom did. They was already here. It says Los Angeles counties extending from Morro Bay in the north to Malibu, and in the south, Pinos in the east. Their territories included 3 of the Channel Islands, Santa Cruz, Santa Rosa, and San Miguel. Right, the smaller island of Anacapa was likely inhabited seasonally due to the lack of consistent water source. Right, so I believe, I'm just letting you know, I believe the reason for this name Chumash is because they understood where they come from. Or the white man, when he encountered them, he seen that they did things according to the Torah, man. Right? These were sacred people. They had sacred places. They had men, leaders or priests named shamans. And shaman, if you go deeper into that word, it simply is a priest. A shaman is a priest, man. And we know what the scriptures say about how the Northern Kingdom, that's one of their biggest mistakes on how they got in trouble, is because they made the Northern Kingdom of priests. Jeroboam did. Jeroboam, he made the Northern Kingdom priests. But I'm jumping the gun, so let's go back a little bit. So the first thing I want to go to was the word, in Google, the word Chumash. It says the word Chumash originally referred to the people of Lemua, Santa Cruz Island. In more modern terms, Chumash was used to identify all people of the Chumash nation. Every village in Chumash territory had its own language, which were not only different dialects, but distinctly different languages. So you see it says Wikipedia, Chumash, Judaism, right? It says Chumash, also Humash, Hebrew, right? And it means, where is it at? Right here. The word comes from the Hebrew word for 5, Hamash. It says 5, it says 5/5 of Torah, meaning the first 5 books. Right? So when you go, Salakia, when you go into the blue letter and you go to the word 5, right? When you go to the word 5 in the blue letter, you have the word right here, which is Kamash. So this word is emphatic. So this right here is the Yiddish way you say Chumash or Hamash. But this is the Paleo way that you say Kamash, right? And it means the same thing, 5th or 5. So these people name was named after the 5 books of the Torah. So when you go to this word right here, when you go to this right here, it's Chabad.org. It says the word Chumash refers to one of the 5 books of the Torah, which are collectively known as the 5 books of Moses, or the Pentateuch, right? It says the word Chumash is derived from the Hebrew word Kamesh, which means 5, or more accurately, a 5th, right? And when you see this word right here, Chumashim, when we go back to the blue letter, you see this word also, Kamashisha, Salakia, Kamisha, Kamisha. So these words are similar, right? But it's just one is in the Paleo and one is in Yiddish. So when you read Bereshit, Shemot, Vayekra, Bamidbar, Bamidbar, Devarim, these are Yiddish words, right? But it means Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Like I said, I believe it's either that these people, they understood where they come from, or when a white man encountered them, he seen they did things according to the Torah, so he named them the Chumash people. Nevertheless, that is their name, and these are real people, and that's a fact. So first and foremost, I want to get, because in these people, the Chumash people, in their story, when you go into their background, they believe that the great rainbow brought them over here to the Americas, right? That's what they believed. A rainbow brought them to America, right? They called it the Rainbow Bridge. But when you go to the scriptures, and when I say the Rainbow Bridge, we talking about they was on a boat and they followed a rainbow over here. That's what they believe. And in the scriptures, it says that the Lord literally leaded them over here. So who are we to say that they're lying? Because this is an ancient belief that they actually have amongst each other. Straight up, like Zebulon. If you go into the history of Zebulon, Zebulon had a history of the Great Flood. They had a history. No, they had a history of the Red Sea. Salakia. One second. God. And Zebulon is Guatemala to Panama, right? Which is the Mayans. And if you don't know, that is where the North America and South America, they're in between that, like Mexico. From Guatemala to Panama, they're in the middle of all of that, right? And they are the so-called Mayans. But they had a history, and I'm talking about over here, they had a history of the Red Sea. Ain't that crazy, right? Because the Lord has sown all of these things in us. It says he's sown his law into us, but he's sown, we carry these things. If you read Babylon the Timbuktu, if I can get it right quick, and I know I'm all over the place, I'm trying to cook up. When you read Babylon the Timbuktu, it tells you in this book, let me get it. In chapter 90, it says the Black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. You understand that? Everywhere we went, we carried our laws, our culture, our heritage with us. The Northern Kingdom is no different, right? Because we see, even to this day, without having the knowledge of who they was, they had on fringes with the ribbon of blue. They kept the green corn year, which is the year of Jubilee. We know where you made the land fast, right? They had multiple wives. I got a book. It's called The Last Days of the Sioux Tribes, and they had multiple wives. Where did they learn all these things from? Straight up. They tried to make it seem like they was just naked brown people in teepees, and they was just didn't know what the hell was going on. But these people are way far more advanced than the white man. They literally showed the white man how to conduct himself being over here because the white man didn't know. Right? And Blistering Sun, they gave them aloe vera, that olive plant. I forgot what that plant is called. Damn, what is that plant called? I think it's an aloe vera plant. Yeah, aloe vera plant to go on their skin to help them in the blistering sun. He showed them how to skin animals and wear those animals so that they can keep warm in the cold. Straight up. He showed them how to hunt. The Native Americans showed them how to make beef jerky. If you didn't know, beef jerky comes from the Native Americans. They stole that from the Native Americans. They showed them how to do that. When you look at Geronimo, when you hear white people jump out the plane and they say Geronimo, guess where they got that from? Geronimo, the Native Americans. The war paint that they put on their face, they got that from the Native Americans. The way that they hid themselves and they ambushed their enemies. They got that from the Native Americans. The way they lured them into different kind of traps, they got that from the Native Americans, man. Esau's whole strategy, when you look at his helicopters, the Tomahawk, Native American name, the Comanche, Native American name, they stole everything from the Native Americans, man. Native American was already far more advanced. So reading this, 2nd Ezra 13 and 40, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, who Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, right? The northern kingdom was in the Assyrian captivity, right? And you can read that in the book of Hosea and the minor prophets. It says, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land, right? But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a country where never mankind dwelt. So Shalmaneser took the Native Americans, the Northern Kingdom, into captivity, and you can read that in the scriptures in the King James. And he took them back to his land across the Tigris and the Nile River into Assyria. And when they got there, Assyria started to go to war with Babylon. And Babylon, and when they was going to war, the Native Americans, the Hispanics, the Northern Kingdom, they took it upon themselves like this is the perfect time to leave and go start, follow the Lord's law, statutes, commandments far away from this place where they would never come and get us. It says, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a country, a further country where never mankind dwelt. You understand that? This is the only way they was able to do it is because Babylon sacked Assyria. Go look it up. It says that they might keep their statutes, and the word statutes is things that's decreed, something that's decreed. All right, so you have law, statutes, and commandments. Statutes is something that's decreed if you look it up. It says, which they never kept in their own land, because if you go into the history, the Northern Kingdom, they did not have one righteous king of the Northern Kingdom. They was all wicked. That's why it says, which they never kept in their own land. All right, all of their kings was wicked. Don't get me wrong, we had wicked kings of the Southern Kingdom also, but the Northern Kingdom did not have not one righteous king. And if so, please name him. So verse 43, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them. And like I said, they believe the rainbow brought them to America. They called it the Rainbow Bridge. Go look at it in the history of the Chumash people. And it's actually on a video, right? And they don't take things like that lightly. They actually believe those things because we're actually a spiritual people. We actually believe things. It says that they might there keep their statutes, the commandments, the laws, which they never kept in their own land. They entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. Now, a lot of people say, how can they enter Euphrates if Euphrates is this? If you look at the map, bro, it's not hard. Euphrates, they went to the water, back to the waters, which king of Assyria led them over. They got boats and they went downwards. The Euphrates River goes north and south. It does not go east and west. It goes north and south. And then you have the Persian Gulf. And then you have the, if I'm saying it right, the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean, or I think it's the Dead Sea. But you have two seas that they had to cross right after they got from the Euphrates River and the Persian Gulf, which goes downwards. At the bottom of the Euphrates River, look it up, you have the Persian Gulf. Matter of fact, I can just pull it up. I don't know what I'm talking about. Trying to find it with the war. Like I said, you see it goes north and south. Like I should have had this pulled up already just to give you a visual. But let's look at it. Let me see the best one I can find. Let me see. See, right here, you have the Euphrates River right here, and it goes down into the Persian Gulf, and then it goes into the Arabian Sea, and then it goes all the way down. And this is the way to America. Believe it or not, that is the way to America, man. But a lot of people do not want to believe that, right? That is the way. See, Euphrates River come all the way down to the Persian Gulf, and then it goes into the Arabian Sea, and you just keep going, and it's going to take them right to America, man. Right to America. Now, it seems unbelievable, right, that they could do that, right? That means you don't believe in the scriptures if you think like that, because it literally says right here in verse 44, for the Most High then shewed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. Straight up. And why? Because when you read in the book of Jeremiah, he tell you that he was going to the same place. No, Salakia, not Jeremiah, Hosea. The same place where it says, they are not my people, there that shall be called the sons of the living God. The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom would be united in the same place in the land of their captivity to be woken up. And that's Bible prophecy. Can't gainsay nor resist that. And if you do, you'll be happily finding yourself fighting with God. Because it says, for the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. So the Most High helped them get over here. And who knows, like they say, the Rainbow Bridge may have helped them get over here because they followed something to help them get over here. It's not like the Lord had a big finger pointing south. He's his finger just pointing south. It's not how that worked, man. He put it on their spirit to follow that rainbow, if that's what it was. But it says, for though that country there was a great way to go, like I said, Euphrates River, Persian Gulf, Arabian Sea, I believe it's the Dead Sea, the Atlantic Sea, or the Pacific. It was the next one. And it's been a while since I looked at it. But it says, of a year and a half, in the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. You understand that? They dwelt there until the latter times. They're still here. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Right? And these people are included, because when you go into the history of the Chumash people, they were introduced. Salakia. And these are the Chumash people right here. Right? These are the Chumash Native American Indians, man. Chumash or Kamesh. Right? Chumash little boy. You got them doing their rituals. But you can tell they was doing animals. They was doing things that they was not supposed to be doing. But you see they have the fringes on. Look at the girl in the back. She got her fringes on. They got their fringes on, man. They're doing good. Look, he got his war hats on. They got their bonnets on. Look, these are Native American Chumash people. These are our people. All right? Got the Chumash little boy. So let me go back. Oh, and just for a side note, this ain't a part of the lesson, but I wanted to show you this. Right? The Cherokee believed in Yahweh, right? That's what I typed in. But look what it says right here. The Cherokee Indians worship the supreme being, Yehovah, or Yah-Yo-Ho-Wah, Yahweh. They worship Yahweh. It says God of the Hebrew. So what we gonna sit here and say they the only one? Hell no. The Native Americans and the Mexicans, they believed in Yahweh, man. Bro, this is just simple Google or Microsoft Bing telling you that they believed. And not only believed, but they believed in Yehovah, Yahweh. Same difference. It says, which is very similar to the Hebrew name of God. And of course, they're going to try to switch it up and say Yahweh or Yahovah. But we know who they believed in. They believed in Yahweh, man, because this is what we call him. We don't call him Yehovah or Yehovah. We call him Yahweh, and this is the same thing. You just take those O's and put A, that's Yahweh. Can't get around that, man. You just can't. And that's just a side note, man. So let me get back to it. So when you go to 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and 31, the Lord said this: for behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and ye shall be honored in it forever. So no matter where we go, the Most High God's people, the 12 tribes of Israel, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, and Naphtali, they're going to keep the law, statutes, commandments by default, man, because his law is sown in us. Straight up. And there's no getting around that, man. So let me go to Romans chapter 2, right? So in Romans chapter 2 and verse 14, the Lord says, for when the Gentiles and the northern kingdom, southern kingdom, that we all, was Gentiles at one point in time. A Gentile is somebody who don't know who they are. A Hellenistic Jew. Hellenistic means we following another nationality instead of our own. So it says, for when the Gentiles, which have not the law, right, that passing away, that falling away that Paul was speaking about in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, it says, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law. That's why we always cook chicken the way we did, not having a law, and our people still do it. That's why we do certain things. That's why men, they have multiple wives, like the law instructs. If you're going to deal with women, it gives you the instructions. Even though we do it the wrong way, we still have it in us to deal with multiple women. That's my point. It says, do by nature the things contained in the law. These having not the law are a law unto themselves, man. So let's keep going. So this is the areas that they possessed from, where is it? San Jose all the way down to Los Angeles. The Chumash people inhabited. They basically inhabited all of this, man. All of this. Santa Cruz all the way down to Los Angeles. The Chumash people inhabited all of that. Right? So now we get into the meat and potatoes of why I pulled out we gonna do things by nature, the things that pertain in the law, right? Or he has sown his law in us. So when we deal with I'm gonna deal with Chumash religion first. So this is proves right here that the Chumash people was conquered by the so-called white man, just like the Bible instructs that they would be. When you read Hosea chapter 1, right? When you read Jeremiah chapter 3, when you read Jeremiah chapter 50, the scriptures speaks in specifics on how we will go into captivity under the same people, man. So it says Chumash religion. It says before adopt, and this proves right here that they came over here on a boat. It ain't like they did not have boats and the white man and one brought boats over here. No, this is one of their biggest things that they had that made them a great people, is they depended on their boats, man. Whether it's the boats that they came over here with, or whether it's the boats that they was creating afterwards, right? I'm pretty sure they was following the same architect of the boats that they had, that they was using for generations. Straight up. And when they got over here, they grew, man, and they spread it out. They was over here for a long time before Esau came over here, man. The Romans, right? The same Romans that had the southern kingdom in captivity. Ain't that crazy? Which shows we are the same people. So when we read Chumash religion, before adopting Christianity, there we go, it says the Chumash had certain places that they considered sacred. Just like the Israelites, the southern kingdom, the Israelites had places that they considered sacred that nobody could go into, like in parts in the temple, right? They couldn't make sacrifices on the idol. There was certain jobs and duties for certain tribes that could only do those things. And it was the same way with the northern kingdom, Chumash people or Kamesh people. It says, and would go to those places to pray or make offerings for. What other nation of people make offerings? It says they had at least one God whom they referred to as sup or a cup. They also had people known as shamans. Now, I'm going to finish this out and then I'm going to get the shaman part. It says, because this part is very critical right here. It says, who represented to the spirit world to their people and could perform important rituals and ceremonies. You see that? So the shamans were the only ones that could do that. Now I can give you a picture of the shaman people. And when they was dressed like this, they had this kind of paint on their face. These were shamans. And another word for shaman is priest. This right here, this is kind of throat. I ain't gonna lie, the way his face looked. It's kind of throat. But these are shamans. These were the priests of the tribes, you know, of the tribes that they had, whatever tribe it was. These were the priests. Right? So going back, it says, who represented to the spirit world to their people and could perform important rituals and ceremonies. So they would all, just like how the Southern Kingdom, the Levites, everybody would depend on them. There's certain chapters that's only pertains to the Levites. Right? He was the only ones that can do the rituals. Right? He had the Urim and the Thummim on him that would help make decisions according to what, you know, what the in righteousness, basically. Right? That breastplate on him that helped with those stones in it to help him make decisions, man. Righteous decisions. It says important rituals and ceremonies. It says the shaman was often associated with a particular animal, such as rattlesnake or grizzly bear. People would call on the shaman to cure illnesses or bring good fortune or to try and bring misfortune to their enemies. You see that? And that's what the priests would do. They would pray for the nation. Right? When you read it in Deuteronomy, let me get it right quick. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second. I know it's in Deuteronomy. We actually read it every time before camp, but I just cannot pull it up. One second. Oh, I can't find it, man. I ain't even gonna waste no more time. But there was certain things that pertained to this, where the Levites would tell the people, don't be afraid. The Most High God is with you to fight against your enemies. Or he would tell them not to fight against the enemy. Right? But let's get it. I want to show you the word shaman. So the word shaman, you see it goes back to priests. So it says shamans and priests. There's the Mayan class of the priest is sometimes thought to have emerged from a pre-existing network of shamans. Right? It says as social complexity grew, the classic Siberian shaman is characterized by his intimate relationship with one or several helper spirits. Ecstatic ecstatic voyages into a non-human realms like the spirit world, and often operates individually on behalf of his clients. In 20th, like when they come in to inquire, that's a client, somebody that's coming to inquire of the Lord, or anything of the spirit world. Now we know they did this in wickedness. They did a whole lot of wickedness, but the foundation of it still applies. That's why Paul said, he said right here, for when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. So they have the law within them. They just do it the way that they want to do it. Right. And this is where we get this. So it says, where was we at right here? It says in 20th century Mayan communities, diviners, right, in which the law is against diviners. It says, and also curers, right, may show, and a curer is, we see it's a witch doctor back then, but a curer is actually a priest too, because the priest would take that man outside the camp and, see if he's clean or not and pronounce him clean or not. It says, may show some features of true shamans, particularly vocation through illness or dreams and trance. You see that? That's where he would get his information. It says, in communication with the spirit. In reference to these features, they are often loosely called shamans by ethnographers. On the other hand, priests are chiefly cultic functionaries operating within a well-defined hierarchy, right? They that top guy, like the priest and the Levites, and offering foods. You see that? Where else did this come from? I mean, you got to ask yourself that. It says the hierarchy shaman, the priest, they would offer foods, sacrifices, and prayers to the deities on behalf of social groups, of the behalf of the tribes, man. It says situated on different levels in 20th century Mayan communities of the northwestern Guatemalan highlands. You see that from Guatemala down to Panama is Zebulon. And Zebulon had a history of the Red Sea. It says all nations have a history of the Great Flood, but Zebulon, the so-called Guatemalans down to Panama, they had a history of the Red Sea. That is specific right there. It says the hierarchies of prayer makers offer examples of such priests, the pre-Hispanic religious functionaries described by men like Diego de Landa, Tomas de Torquemada, and Bartolomé de las Casas were also priests, not shamans. So I want you to understand, one name is clear, right? And it's this man right here, Bartolomé de las Casas. And the reason why I know this man, and I'm going to show you why. The reason I know this man is because I have this book called Devastation of the Native Indies, and look at the name. His name is Bartolomé de las Casas. So I know emphatically this man and what it's talking about, right? So going back to, it says, and there's more information right here, how they man, if you go into the history of these priestly kings and shamans and, these priests, they literally held things according to the law. And you see, it says the kingship was a sacred institution and the temple service a duty. You see that? Just like the priests and the Levites, 12 Levites, and they all had different duties. One would light the incense, one would make sure the showbread was ready, one would do this, one would do that. So this is the temple service, a duty. During certain intervals, they abstain from intercourse, like being clean. And Salakia, if you are an adult, you will look past that. It says they abstained from intercourse. They fasted. Come on, man. They prayed and burnt offerings. You understand this? They did things according to the law, statutes, and commandments. Why? Because the Lord said, I have sown my law into you. They abstained from intercourse when they wanted to be clean, man. Like, like when we keep the Sabbath. right? They fasted for their deity. They prayed to their deity. And they made burnt offerings to their deity. Now, like I said, a lot of this stuff they did wrong. But the foundation of it is still there, man. Understand that. So when we dealing with this, the shaman, let's go to, I want to go to, because up here it said cures, right? So when we go to, for the cures, let's go to Leviticus chapter 14 in the law, in the Torah. Because remember, Yahweh said, I have sown my law in you. And I might be all over the place, but Lord willing, you get the point, though. The bigger picture. Leviticus 14:1, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, this shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest. Now, when we reading about the northern kingdom, the Native Americans, they was brought to the shaman. The shaman is still a priest. It says, and the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper. Remember, cure, healer. Then shall the priest command to take for him that is to be cleansed 2 birds alive and clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command that one of the birds be killed in an earthen vessel over running water. So you see, they were still following the same rituals as we did in the ancient world. Right? The point is, the Levites in the book of Leviticus, they are the ones who pronounced if you was healed or not. That's still a cure. The Native Americans, like I said, they did things a little different, right? And then you also had another word, which was diviner, right? Where was we at? Okay, right. So the other word was diviner. It says on behalf of his clients in the 20th century Mayan communities. So not just the Chumash people, all of the Mayan communities, most of the Mayan communities, right? And you see right here, they had, like I said, they had rituals that was against the Most High God. They would make blood sacrifices. And you can read that. And like we just read right here, this man Bartholomew. So I'm going to go to it and show you. Let me go back to my screen. I'm going to go to it and show you. And this is about the Aztecs, right? So it says, the European, this is devastation of native Indies, and I'm reading the pink, if you can see that. Maybe you want to screenshot it so you can read it too, just so you'll know I'm not tripping. And it says, the European confrontation with the Aztecs did the most to fuel arguments that American Indians, in general, American Indians, were essentially barbarians. The Aztecs' practice of human sacrifice genuinely horrified the Spanish. You understand that? And we understand it because they make movies over how they made human sacrifices. They made movies over it. And that's where you get all of this from, right? Mayan and mythology and religion. It says bloodshedding, death rituals, right? And this is what studying to show yourself approved is, really studying to see what your people did so you can bring it out and find things that go against it and how we shouldn't be doing it. Like I've written down certain things in this book, like in Deuteronomy 18:9 through 10. And then when you jump down to 12, it lets you know that when you killing an animal, you sacrificing anything, an animal, most importantly, is what you're supposed to be sacrificing. You're supposed to pour his blood out on the ground like dust. That's what it says. Leviticus 17:12 also, Deuteronomy 12:23, and Leviticus 26:29. That's what we were supposed to do, pour their blood out as dust. But the Mayans, the Aztecs, they would actually drink the blood. Straight up, man. They would rip out the heart and they would squeeze his blood in their mouth. Right? They got dedication rituals, they got pilgrimage, priesthood, which is we read now, and they got sacrifice humans. See? Human sacrifice. Right there. So these things are facts, man. And Bartholomew de las Casas, and this is a history book also. of the devastation of the Indies, he's actually vouching. Straight up now. So, Salakia. So now the next, like I said, the next one was diviners, right? It says a divination is the attempt to gain insight into a question or situation by way of an occultic ritual or practice, right? Like if you look at how the way that the priest and the Levites, how the priest had the Urim and the Thummim on his chest, it was a big breastplate on his chest. Let me pull it up on my phone, matter of fact, and show you. Because I actually downloaded a couple pictures not too long ago, and I was checking it out, how they, they had it on their chest. So let me pull out my. So if you look at this man, if you see on his chest, that thing on his chest helped him get righteous judgment from the Most High God. That's what that helped him do. And Salaki, it's the ephod. And the way that they do it, you would think that it was witchcraft and source. I mean, you would think it was divination, but it wasn't. It was so that they can communicate with the Most High God's people. I mean, so they can communicate with the Most High God, Salakia. Straight up. So now I got some scriptures I want to get about this diviners. So first and foremost, the Most High God said in Deuteronomy chapter 18, Deuteronomy chapter 18 and 13, he says, thou shalt be perfect. I don't know if I can just pull it up, Salakia. Salaki, if I'm moving kind of fast, I'm just excited about this lesson, and I'm probably slaughtering the lesson. I'm not even going in order no more. I'm just, shooting off the hip. So this is Deuteronomy 18 and 13. It says, thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God have not suffered thee to do so. Right? So we observe, we seek unto the Most High God. We inquire of the Most High God. That's where we get our, and we get that from the priest, or we get that from a prophet of today. If we want answers, we go to a prophet of the Most High God. Right? That's who we go to. We go to a prophet of the Most High God to inquire of the Most High God. But the way that diviners do things is all the way off, and the Most High told us not to deal with that. Right? When you go into the background of a diviner, it's an occultic ritual or practice, right? They deal with omens, supernatural agency, including spirits, gods, godlike beings, and the will of the universe. See, a whole bunch of nonsense, man. That's not telling them anything. But people fall for that kind of stuff, though. Just for the record, straight up. It was another thing I was wanting to get. Was another thing. Oh yeah, we got to go back to this. So as we done with that, we jump to the next section. The next session was Chumash food. That's Chumash boats, Chumash food. So the point I wanted to get was right here. This is important. It says Chumash people were very accomplished hunters. They were skilled at making bows and arrows, and would hunt mule deer for food and skins. You see, for skins also for clothing. And they showed the white man how to do this. It says hunters also made traps for small animals and would sometimes use fire to drive rabbits out into the open, where they would kill them with throwing sticks. They sometimes even ate bear cubs, but probably did not risk hunting adult grizzly bears. So the point that I'm getting out of this is showing that they were hunters, skillful hunters. It says that they were skilled at making bows. And that's in the scriptures. When we go to First Chronicles chapter 5, and I'm gonna get it in the Salakia, and I'm gonna get it in the NIV. It says, where is that? It says, First Chronicles 5:18. This is a classic scripture. Also, it says the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh had 44,760 men ready for military service. Right, able-bodied men who could handle shield and sword, who could use a bow, and were trained for battle. Because this is what they was known for, using bow and arrows. And the Edomites know that the Native Americans, the Northern Kingdom in general, was known for using bow and arrows. They could not mess with the Northern Kingdom when it comes to bow and arrows. If you want to be quite frank, they couldn't mess with the Northern Kingdom at all, man. That's why they had to bring in the Gatling gun. If you know what the Gatling gun is, this is the only way that the Native Americans, cop deuces on these fights. They brought in this Gatling gun. This is when the Native Americans start giving up and start submitting. This is where you have the 5 civilized tribes. This is where these things are coming into place, because they thought it would. They just thought it would. There was no match for this, right? And this is when they brought this gun in right here. This is when the Native Americans start giving up. This gun right here is called the Gatling gun, which is the first machine gun, right? This is remember, they was using musket guns, but they couldn't load those musket guns fast enough. Native American come through with a tomahawk and skin you, right? Scalp you, I mean, right? Or they would already then shot 4 bow and arrows before they can reload the musket guns. Now, I'm gonna go back to this book right quick, because it gives us details in this book, right? So in page 38 and 39, right? All right, Conquistadors and Pueblos. So this is the other book that I have. It's called Conquistadors and Pueblos. Let me get it. So let me pull up my screen one more time. So this book right here is called Conquistadors and Pueblos. And reading is fun to your mental. It's fundamental. You need to read. If not, man, you're not going to be so good of a teacher. So on page 38, it says the Great Expedition, and this is another witness of the Native Americans encountering the conquistadors. The conquistadors is the white people. The Pueblos is the villages that they encountered when they came over here. It says the Great Expedition was assembled at Compostela. The general and his officers, like you had General Clustered. If you know about General Clustered, he was one of the first generals that came over here and was causing mayhem against the Native Americans. He had a hatred for him. It says astride splendidly caparisoned horses, wore plummet helmets and voluminous gold. I don't even know what that word is. Voluminous gold and silver embroidered capes over burnished armor. The steel helmet troops mounted and on foot. So I pulled up some images of what that would look like. All right. So when we go right here, men in shining armor, this is what this is explaining right here. This right here is called chain mail, right? And then you have another picture, and I'm gonna just leave it pulled up. But these are the things that they was wearing. This is the things that's being explained in this book. So it says burnished armor. The steel helmet troops, mounted and on foot, were also draped in large capes that covered tunics and shirts of mail. And this is what you're looking at down here. This is a shirt of mail or a tunic of mail, right? So you couldn't stab, it wouldn't pierce their flesh, right? It's like a ancient bulletproof vest. It says, and jackets of buckskin, right? And this is what you're looking at right here. This is buckskin under here. This is all buckskin. It says, and quilted cotton, which is, to help them feel, be comfortable in what they wearing. They were armed with a variety of weapons: spears, lances, pikes, maces, halberds, harquebuses, and crossbows. The Indian servants and burden bearers carried clubs and bow and arrows. You see that? So they're even testifying that the Native Americans carried bow and arrows like the scriptures did in First Chronicles 5:18. Why did they carry only clubs and bow and arrows? I believe a club is actually talking about a tomahawk. They just didn't know, it probably wasn't called a tomahawk back then, but it's, a tomahawk, right? So they carried tomahawks and bow and arrows. Why did they carry bow and arrows? Because they was good at with those bow and arrows. Nobody is better at shooting bow and arrows than the Northern Kingdom, the Native American Indians and the so-called Mexicans, man. And that's a fact. So, Khan, I want to go back to page 30. Right? In the same book, I want to go back to page 30. One second. So it says, I'm going to go to the third paragraph. It says, to Cabeza, they gave 5 stones used as arrowheads, which he thought might be emeralds. So the Native Americans, they didn't value rubies, diamonds. They didn't value those things that they found in the earth as much as, so-called white man. Gold is the white man's god, and that's a fact. It literally says that in this book. It says that, the Native Americans, I believe is Moctezuma, he said that their god is gold. It says, to Cabeza, they gave 5 stones used as arrowheads, which he thought might be emeralds. Asked where they had got them, the Indians said they had been brought over a long trail from those populous and wealthy cities in the north, that they had traded for them bright-colored macaw and parrot feathers obtained from traders far to the south. So you see that's why they pushed all the way to North America, because they wanted to see where these emeralds was coming from. And they made North America their designated land. That's why North America has the Pentagon, has the Congress, has all of these, main, constitutional places in North America. So I'm going to keep going. When the 6 Indian tongues the travelers had mastered did not suffice for communication, they talked by signs. We taught all the inhabitants by signs, which they understood. It says, Cabeza related that in heaven there was a man whom we called God. So here it is. They thinking that they're teaching the Northern Kingdom, God's chosen people. They came over here thinking that there was these are the Romans. You understand this? The Roman Catholic Church at that. The ones that had the Southern Kingdom in captivity. They didn't know the prophecy of them coming over here. So they didn't even know that those were God's chosen people. They didn't know. But the prophecy had to be fulfilled, right? It says that he had created the sky and the earth, and him we worship have for our master. One second. One second. It's another part too. On the next page, it says they had been given arrowheads carved from precious stones, which look like emeralds. So in this book, it got some real good information in this book, man. And you should go order those books. All of these books are on Amazon. Devastation of the Native Indies, The Last Days of the Sioux Tribes, The Conquistadors, The Pueblos. You have many different books. You got the 10 Tribes books. You got many different books that you can read and get information from that help you link up with the Bible. It would actually help you. Right? And I have another point I want to show you out of this book before I close, as a matter of fact. And this is crazy. I want you to let me know what this sounds like. And it's dealing with Moctezuma. I don't know if you know who Moctezuma is, but he's a very known Mexican. These were the Mexicans. Montezuma and the Aztecs, these were well-known Mexicans. Right? Salakia, give me 1 second. So it says, and this is page 19. It says the Aztecs, and the Aztecs is of course the who we know as the Mexicans in Mexico, right? And from Guatemala to Panama, Mexico, Mexicans, they are all throughout that region. It says and across the 4 corners of the earth. It says the Aztecs had never seen horses. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see so you can see it, because this is crazy, right? And maybe you can screenshot it or take a picture and read it. I don't know. Lord willing, you can see that. If not, let me know. I'll post it on my next lesson so you can see it. So it says the Aztecs had never seen horses before. There were none in America until the Spaniards came. In the wild-eyed steeds, the invaders rode into battle, and their heavy artillery terrified the natives. Right? You see that? And I'm gonna show you. Look, matter of fact, let me pull this back up, because this is the images that they were given. I mean, that they were seeing. Look at this one right here. Check this out. It says, heavy artillery terrified the natives. There was the legend believed by everyone, right? The Native Americans that was slaughtered, the ones that survived, that went to other villages, they was telling this legend. This is what they said. It says that these white men were the descendants of gods who had once ruled Mexico, and that they would return someday and punish the people who had driven them away. Because you had Native Americans and so-called Mexicans that would not let them enter into the land, and they would actually fight them off and kill them, right? Like the Apaches and the Comanches, the white man could not fuck with them, not even for a second. That's a fact. And those are Mexican tribes, right? It says, like I said, the Apaches and the Comanches, those were the most brutal. Go look it up. Those are one of the most brutal. Those are the ones who was doing the scalping, where they cut your whole top off. And I'm not talking about cut your head off. I'm talking about scalp you. Look up scalping. It says there were also defections into the ranks of the Spaniards because of the dissatisfaction with the tyrannical rule of the imperial Moctezuma. And finally, the appalling cruelty and treachery of Cortez, Hernan Cortez, played a large part in his triumph. Montezuma, which another word is Moctezuma, was stoned to death by his own people, man. Ain't that something? Moctezuma was stoned by his own people. Where the hell they learn stoning from? Where did they learn stoning from? I mean, come on. That is all throughout the Old Testament and the New. Bruh, it said that Moctezuma, they had a death. They would stone people to death. They killed Moctezuma, which is a Mexican over here in the Americas, in the 1400s to the 16, to all the way throughout. They were stoning people, man. They stoned Moctezuma, their king, to death. I mean, bro, we got to use our brain and be like, wait, what the hell? Who taught them stoning? Where did they learn stoning from? That's something to harp on, man. That is something to harp on. That is something to harp on. So going back to I got one more point to show, because I wanted to go back to this. All right, so this right here, dealing with the shamans and the priests, right, of the Northern Kingdom. The last point I wanted to show about this is exactly why they got in trouble in the scriptures. When we go to 1 Kings, remember, the Most High said, and I believe it's Numbers chapter 17 or Numbers chapter 18, the Most High said that the Levites, the priests, the Levites, the sons of Kohan, they are the ones that's near unto him. They are the ones that perform his rituals. They are the ones that can do this and that according to the Bible. They are the ones. But here it is, you have the Northern Kingdom made priests out of the Northern Kingdom, and the Most High banished them for that. This is why the Assyrians came through and did them the way that they did them. Right? They didn't listen. So 1 Kings chapter 13 and 33. It says, after this thing, Jeroboam, which is the king of he was the king of the Northern Kingdom. If you read in 1 Kings chapter 11, I believe it might be 12. Give me 1 second. Okay. 1 Kings 11. So 1 Kings 11 and 26, it says, and Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zeredah, Solomon's servant, whose mother was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. So Jeroboam was the son of Nebat. And when you go into the history of Nebat, Nebat was from the northern kingdom. He was Ephraim. He was from the tribe of Ephraim. So Jeroboam is emphatically from the tribe of Ephraim. Right? When you go into the history of it, it actually says it in the scripture. I just don't feel like finding it. So knowing that he was from the northern kingdom and not the southern kingdom, it says right here, 1 Kings 13 and 33, after this thing, Jeroboam returned not from his evil way, but made again of the lowest of the people priest of the high places. Whosoever would, he consecrated him, and he became one of the priests of the high places. And this thing became sin unto the house of Jeroboam, even to cut it off. This is when it says cut it off, this is why the Assyrians came in and took them into captivity. And then when they went into captivity under the Assyrians, Babylon sacked the Assyrians, and this was they said they made an oath that they was going to go to a far place, which we know as Osiris, to keep the Most High God's laws, statutes, commandments. But when they got here, they didn't. They was making human sacrifices and other such wickedness. It says even to cut it off and to destroy it from the face of the earth. Straight up. This is why they got in trouble. So if you go into the history, and I can just keep going, but I think the point is proven at the end of the day, man. All this stuff goes together, man. They are emphatically of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, man. Straight up. So, man, with that, man, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, Shalom.